Written data storytelling is different from spoken data storytelling for several reasons. For one thing, written data storytelling is often more lasting than spoken data storytelling. There are exceptions. Your presentation might be recorded and put online, and who knows, maybe it will go viral. But most likely, your spoken data storytelling will only be heard by people in the audience right in front of you. So if the presentation isn't perfectly polished, then it's not such a big deal because the audience is limited and your presentation might be heard only once. However, written storytelling might be read by many more people, possibly for months or years to come. Furthermore, people tend to be a bit more forgiving when it comes to making little mistakes or stuttering a little bit in spoken presentations, but people tend to be more critical about written documents. So try to spend a lot of time on your written storytelling and try to simplify whenever you can. One difference between amateur and expert writers is that amateur writers think that people will be impressed by impenetrable writing, while the expert writers know the truth, which is that most people find dense, complicated writing to be annoying and tiring to read, and also difficult to remember. This is typically more aligned with what the audience wants. And there is a good reason for this. The human brain has a limited capacity for attention and memory. If someone is expending so much energy to think about grammar and really long sentence structure and low-frequency uncommon words, while also keeping in mind which pronouns go with which objects, and so forth, then they have limited cognitive resources left for remembering what is actually the important point that is being written down. And that is, of course, the description of the data. So, in my opinion, if you write in a complicated and opaque way and no one understands your data graphic, then it's probably your fault, not theirs. Now, this is a course on data storytelling, not on technical writing, so I'm not going to go into a lot of details about grammatical and stylistic rules. But I would like to stress a few points that you should keep in mind that will help you write about data with simplicity and with clarity. First of all, be direct. Use the active voice when possible and say the most important thing first. If you have a really long sentence, then people might lose their attention by the end of it. If it's important, put it in the beginning. Here you see an example. Pause the video and try to rewrite this sentence according to the above written guidelines. Here is my suggestion. The second tip is to use explanatory sentences like "this means" or "this indicates." That way, if someone doesn't understand some of the details about the data or the analyses or statistics, or if they are quickly scanning the text instead of reading it thoroughly and rigorously, then at least they will still be paying attention as soon as they see your explanatory sentence. If you do this, they will get the take-home message even if they didn't understand all the details or if they were momentarily distracted. Here is an example of the company trying to optimize selling widgets, which you will remember from earlier in this course. Pause the video now and try to write a brief description of the key point of these data. Make sure to use explanatory language. Okay, and now I'm going to show my suggestion. Notice here I say explicitly, "This indicates that additional personnel may be necessary." The third tip is to use simple language and simple grammatical structure and avoid technical terminology whenever possible. Now, this tip is easier said than done, and it takes a lot of practice to be able to express complicated technical ideas in simple, straightforward, and comprehensible ways. My main piece of advice here is that it's easier to turn a complicated sentence into a simple one compared to writing a simple sentence from scratch. This is something I see all the time in my mentoring and teaching. People are afraid that their writing won't be perfect on the first draft, so they freeze and they don't write anything. Don't make that mistake. Start by writing a horrible, ugly, confusing, terrible long sentence, and then get to work on cutting it down. The good thing is you don't have to show the first draft of your writing to anyone, so there's no need to be embarrassed. Here is an example. You should pause the video and try to rewrite this really long sentence, even if you don't totally understand all the technical details. Okay, and now I'm going to show my suggestion for rewriting it. In conclusion, when you are presenting data, not only writing but also speaking about data, try to be direct. Use explanatory language like this means or this indicates. And as much as possible, use simple grammar, simple sentence structure, and avoid technical terms and abbreviations unless they are really crucial.